Monix and welcome back to not another vlog. I called these videos vlog for about 80 episodes and it's ending today because it's just not really a vlog style anymore. It's just great content about Ionic and Ionic related, web development related topics. So from now on, we're just gonna call this a video. I don't know. Mike had the idea to call it Simon Says, which I really like, but so far I'll just want to do it freestyle, provide great content, which gives me more flexibility in terms of the content, and also I don't have to keep up the numbers, which no. But I think actually nobody ever cared about the naming or the numbers, so back to today's topic, which is my technology stack for 2021. I want to share all the frameworks, languages, tools, services, everything that I currently use and that I plan to use, and basically all of this is recommended, but of course it's not the best. They're your own choices, and I'm really happy to hear what your choices are about your technology stack for this year, what you want to learn, so leave that below and let's roll the intro. Alright, so let's get into the tools and the technologies that I use. First of all, I continue using Visual Studio Code just because I really like it. It's free. I think it's the best editor for Angular and in general web projects. Currently, I use the One Dark Pro theme if you got any questions about it, and I really recommend it for everyone else. Second, of course, you're subscribed to this channel because of Ionic content. I will, of course, continue using Ionic. This year, I will use it 100% with Capacitor, I guess, maybe just some legacy projects or here and there using Cordova, but overall, I had a lot of videos on why you should use Capacitor by now. I really enjoy the philosophy. It worked great for me so far. I don't have any big problems, and there will be a big update to Capacitor very soon that I'm really looking forward to. So Ionic, definitely recommended with Capacitor. Speaking of Ionic, I still use Ionic Angular. All my content videos, the Ionic Academy, everything's using Ionic Angular. I am open to use something else with Ionic this year, but if I pick something, I would actually go with Vue, because getting into React for me as an Angular developer feels like a big challenge. React is also a big ecosystem, and I feel like getting into Vue might be a bit easier. It's a bit simpler to get started with. If you're interested in some Vue content, leave a comment below. I actually might do a few tutorials on Vue in the next time just to get a feeling if people actually enjoy Ionic Vue. But besides that, I will also continue with Angular for plain web projects. Just like the Kickoff Ionic project, I had several other projects in the past where I used only Angular if I'm just targeting the web. Angular works for me great in the browser, and that's why I'll continue to use Angular for new web projects. During the holiday season, I actually tried to migrate once again my blog Devdactic to a static site. By now I tried Jekyll, I tried I think Gatsby or Next.js, and I also tried Scully, and I finally also tried 11t. There are really a bunch of static site generators, and in the end, I actually kind of like the approach of 11t, which is not tied to Angular or React or anything, and it really works quite good. For the Kickoff Ionic project, I launched a documentation page using 11t quite fast, and I think if I need any kind of static page in the next time, I will also do it with 11t. I will also host it on either Vercel or Netlify. I actually don't find a huge difference between these two tools. You can connect both to your GitHub or Bitbucket repositories, and on every new push, the page is rebuilt and uploaded. So those are the two tools of my choice for hosting static pages and perhaps also other projects in the future. But if you're new to this, maybe check out 11t or check out all the other options from the Gemstack. Really a great field to be in. If you're also interested to convert my Devdactic blog to an 11t page, which I already did quite far, let me know. You can contact me directly. I'm actually looking for someone to do the job because it's quite a bit. Now, moving from the front end to the back end side, you know, I do like full stack development as well for my own projects. I also use either Firebase or Nest.js for the backend. Firebase simply because it works great, it can be used super easily, the database is great, the cloud functions, the storage. There are a lot of great things about Firebase. On the other hand, I also like creating my own backends with Nest.js. I said this last time, and I did quite a lot with Nest.js last year. So this year, I will hopefully finally do a Nest.js course for the Ionic Academy, and if you haven't tried it, check it out. It's really close to Angular and really feels great. Also on the backend side, I usually use MongoDB. So why don't I use a regular SQL database or anything else? Just because I got started with MongoDB a few years ago, and I really like the approach of collections and documents and working with no SQL data by now. That's really just the only reason. It's not like any of my projects is scaling to the limits of either SQL or no SQL, so it really doesn't matter. And I just pick the tools that I know about that work great for me, and on top of which I can really build great applications. And for me, that's MongoDB. I usually use the cloud MongoDB from Atlas. Connecting this works pretty great. You can get started for free, or you can also scale your projects up later. Just like the hosting for my backends, which is usually Heroku. It has been Heroku for years. Simply because it works kind of like Vercel and Netlify. You push your backend to Heroku, it rebuilds and restarts your application, and it just works great for me. Now, all of this is basically the stuff I also used last year, kinda. But now there are a few things that I already tried or that I want to try in the next time. And the first thing that I actually tried is Tailwind. Tailwind got a lot of hype last year. I never came to check it out, but now over the last weeks I finally worked with it. I used it to create an Ionic tutorial, of course, and I'm also using it to redesign the kickoff Ionic page. I really like the approach of Tailwind, which is basically writing no more CSS and putting everything into the HTML, which makes building your page really a lot easier. You don't have to use the CSS classes and the fifth inner input wrapper or whatever. You can read all about it on the Tailwind page. I really recommend you check it out. It might be something great in the future, so that's something I will continue to use more this year. On top of that, there's actually a huge field I wanted to get into for quite some time. That's AWS. I know a bit about it. I've used the storage, and I also used an EC2 instance in the past, but I'm not really good at it so far. So if I find the time and got a project, I definitely want to get more into AWS. If you're interested in this specific topic, please leave a comment below, because I'm interested to see what people think about it, if you're already using it or want to see more about it, and in which specific fields you got problems. I think it's a great service. Of course, it is epic, but it might take some time to get started and get into it, because well, it's like a menu with 100 items, so I can't focus on everything. I just want to spin up a server and get some continuous integration going on. So perhaps identity management, maybe AWS Amplify. I saw this sometimes on the Ionic blog. So that's a field I might want to get into, or that I also would recommend for you in this year. And finally, because I'm not really good at designing, I always wanted to get better with that part, and I will use, as a Mac user, of course, Sketch. You could also use Figma. I already got the Sketch license for a few years. I never really used it, but I definitely want to use it more to like sketch out my new applications, the UI, perhaps even like social posts or create the cover images. I think Sketch or Figma both are great tools, and you don't have to know about it if you're a developer, but I think it's a good idea if you create any kind of creative content and know how to use these tools. So that's on my list for things I might check out later this year. So all of this is of course just my preference, both for the front end, for the back end, for the hosting, for the database. Your choice might be completely different, and that's totally fine. This is not like the best existing tools on this planet, it's just my stack. I know people using PHP for huge projects generating a lot of income, so it really doesn't come down to selecting the most powerful, best framework right now. It comes down to knowing about the tools and the services that you use and developing your projects fast, especially if you're like building side projects, microsets, any kind of stuff. It's really important that you just understand what you're doing, pick the tools you know about, and don't start every new project with a new front end and a new back end and a new service that you just need to figure out. Of course, that's cool as a developer to learn things, but at some point you might just want to stick to something that you know and build great products with that stack. Okay, so that's it for my technology stack for the year. I'm always amazed to see the amount of great tools and languages and frameworks that are actually available for free. I hope you think the same about this. It's really just awesome to work in this kind of field and web development, front end, back end, whatever it might be in the current century. What is your technology stack for the year? Any changes? Are you gonna swap any tools or frameworks, languages? Let me know below the video. And is there anything that you would like to see more about in the upcoming videos? Because I'm currently gathering a few topics for the next time, so leave them below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and hit the subscribe icon so you get notified about all the next and upcoming videos. And I will catch you next week like always. So happy coding, Simon.